Hi guys, Chun-Li here for Cancer Donations 10-3. Happy to report that some more donations have flowed in this week. I've just reached $255, which is more than halfway of my target to $500. What's this about? I'm doing a charity event. I'll be walking 14 kilometres in the city to surf to raise funds for Lymphoma Australia. If you've seen this series before, you'll know that I've got a colleague that's been diagnosed with cancer just recently. She's only 25. It's been a shock to us all. We're raising funds for Lymphoma Australia to arrange for care nurses that will ultimately help to look after her. The way this is working is for donations that are $20 or greater, I'm welcoming the donator to suggest a game for me to analyse. Absolutely their choice, no questions asked. The most recent donors, I should give a shout out to Barry Boswick. So he's actually given me the first donation of the channel ever, so it's great to have his continued support. And Opal Wezen has also given a couple of donations. So both of these guys have given $20 or more. So I'll be reaching out to them for their suggestion on what they'd like to see on the channel. But today I'm going to go through a game for Grogers, who's actually given $100, so he's entitled to see 5 games, or suggest 5 games on the channel. So this is just the first that he's suggesting, so let's get into it. This game is against Gabix94. This is what he suggested. It was a game from the Crazy House Weekly Prize Tournament 14. I was black. I did win the game, but there was an interesting opening which Grogers would like me to go through. Let's get going. E4, E5, knight f3, knight c6 looks pretty standard so far. And here's the difference where White's played c3 very early, and this is actually quite an aggressive gambit. Knight f6, so I think you just got to develop naturally, and d4. So in fact, I've had a number of different players, even some reasonably strong players, ask me, what do you do against this? And the idea is that, it's just a gambit that White plays, but White actually gets some quite rapid development, gets a pawn in hand, which is useful for attacking. At this stage, it may be a little bit early to do it, only because Black can actually capture this. And unlike in chess where Black would be losing a piece, in this case, if Queen takes d4, Knight at c2 wins the Queen. So White's actually lost a pawn there. Now, that's okay, because in fact in the game, White plays a sensible move, castling, which is now threatening to capture the bishop. Here, I think it's just wise for Black to defend. So, pawn at e5. This bishop's quite nicely placed. The pawn on e5 just blockades this pawn again. So, basically, the play here is White's a little bit ahead in development. Just maybe a little bit more aggressive. And Black's basically trying to consolidate and claim that there's an extra pawn in hand. So bishop e3, and already here I haven't played this position that often, so here I'm not entirely clear on what the best way to continue is. We'll go through what the game provided first, and we might talk a little bit more about the opening and what some options are. But I castled, and I was actually probably considering bishop takes b2. I mean, that looks natural. You're going to pick up another rook. The only thing being, bishop takes f7 is possible, and takes. That wins the bishop back. And then here, Black's still a pawn up, really, but White's still got plenty of ammunition to hit with. If he wants, he can just cover off this pawn. It may not even be necessary. There's some natural pushes here. There's pawn at h6. it's another game from here. But yeah, I just felt bishop takes b2 wasn't absolutely decisive. So there's probably other options here, but um, you may consider king e7. I don't think you'd consider king f8 because of knight at e6. Point being that this queen would get taken. You could fight like this. Maybe it's okay. Hard to say, really. I mean, black's got a lot of material for it, but white will keep hammering at the king. It does look a bit dangerous. If king e7, white can back off the bishop, thread a knight at f5, and then a pawn here, pawn here. There's a d6 could be an option. Yeah, a lot of things could happen from here. You'd have to be pretty comfortable playing a sharp game. Look at f7. Yeah, I think white's going to get compensation for whatever material has been sacrificed to you. I think white's got plenty of play on black's king. That's another way of continuing. Right, anyhow, there are a few interesting lines that could have continued. Instead, I castled, thinking that would be quite safe. And my idea was that after takes, I was expecting queen takes d4 and pawn at h3. With the idea being that you can't capture because of this fork. And I felt this would be okay for black, so black maybe gave that pawn back, but black's kind of getting the first stab at white's king. Hey Belle, what you doing? Come here. You want to say hi to everyone? Come here, come here. Alright. Hey guys, sorry. You should be in bed. Okay, just say hi. Say hi quickly to everyone. Say hi. Alright, now, can you... I'll take this, that's fine. Can you go find Mummy? It's time for bed. You need to sleep. Okay? Alright, say goodnight. Okay. Bye. Alright, Bella's been making a few cameo appearances in my videos recently. Alright, well you go ask Mummy for some toys. Okay, you go show Mummy. Yeah, you can bring it. You can bring it. Alright. Sorry about that. So that was the idea behind going down this line, and Gabix played a really good move, e5, and yeah, I just kind of stopped in my tracks in the actual game here, probably for about a minute, and we only had 3 minutes each, and I wasn't really liking where this was going to head. So if you play a natural move like knight g4 or maybe even knight e4, like now when the queen takes, pawn at h3 is just not as good because you just lose the knight altogether. So it really takes away the idea of this. Maybe knight e8, which I feel is a little bit passive. Yeah, I'm not liking the look of the square. Even something like knight at d5 to put pressure on here makes it feel like black's heading backwards a little bit. I mean, you could defend it. It's probably a playable position. Something like f4, queen takes d4. Yeah, I mean it's not over yet, but it feels like black's on the back foot here. There's no pawn at h3 threat now because rook f3 covers. So yeah, he was a bit stuck. I was also thinking d5, and there's no point taking this bishop because you get forked here. That's clearly advantages for white. You could take this one, and maybe white's just holding on to things. Maybe knight g4 was an option. No, it's not. You just take it. Sorry, I was thinking queen d4, but yeah. So I actually didn't like my position much here because I just felt white was getting a free attack, and I'm losing back this material and just getting passive. So I did stop a while here. What I played was pawn at h3, which is very aggressive and not necessarily better for black in any way. It's actually quite a practical move just to keep options open with these f3 sort of ideas. I think white can probably even just decide to take this, and white doesn't have to capture this straight away. You can do things like knight at g4. So yeah, white's got plenty of defense here. How would this continue? Could it play queen g5 maybe? Yeah, it's a game. I mean, black's still looking a bit active, but there's a piece down. Not the easiest position to evaluate. And anyway, I'm wondering if white can get away with taking this. Looks a little bit risky. Maybe bishop at f3 is right, and later d5 might follow, hitting h3. So yeah, I mean, that was the idea behind pawn at h3, just to try to keep active and actually just give up the knight so that black's not entirely passive. My opponent recaptured here, and that now means that white can't capture d4. So here we just try to stay active, d5, hitting h3, hitting the bishop, capture, which is, not too dissimilar to what I was thinking before. But yeah, you can see, I mean, white should be better because white's just up on material, but black does have some practical chances on white's king side. So capture, and here I think is where white needs to be very decisive in how he proceeds. Yeah, I mean, there's a fine line here between deciding if you're going to attack or defend, how you attack and how you defend, because white is up a piece for a pawn, a little bit behind on the attack on the king, but he's well defended here. The move I'm probably looking forward to least is a move that's actually quiet, something like pawn at g2, something which just threatens to set up a blockade and make it difficult to come in. Doesn't really help me to just take things. White can patch up, just keep piling on the light squares. It's hard to come in. So I feel that if white can just fend off black and push black back, whether it be bishop e6 or bishop f5, that's a move that white's gained on the king side, and then from here it could be knight at h5 could be played. And white needs to be a little bit careful, but if you block off the threats effectively, it should end up on top. You could even try something like bishop at f6 here. And, picking off the queen isn't so bad. f5's under attack. So yeah, I felt something like pawn at g2, which seems quite mild and sensible, is maybe the best continuation here. What my opponent played was, my opponent did play pawn at g2, so I think that's fine. I've played knight at f4, and yeah, I mean, I wasn't looking forward to this move, and that's because of those options. And here I even haven't backed off the bishop because I just feel it's, I'm just going to be pushed back and getting passive. So this move knight at f4 really just tries to attack e2 further. H3 might be covered. d5 is also under attack. So yeah, white needs to look out for pawn at e2. I think white's still fine. I mean, something like bishop at f3 is probably good. And yeah, I'm not entirely sure how black should proceed from here. Maybe it's something like pawn at g4. So look, black's gonna try to keep playing for initiative as long as he can here, but I feel like it may eventually run out. Oh, this way looks okay. Yeah, it all just gets really sharp. You've got to really fight. And this is attacking black's king, but it also defends against the knight at h3 type smothered mate. That doesn't work because of this defense. Yeah, look, it's just a game from here. I think both sides have to play very sharp to stay in it. But yeah, for now, I think it's sensible for white to continue defense in some form, just to fend off black's attack, and then at the right point counter attack. It's actually here that white played knight at h5, which on the surface looks okay. I mean, it's attacking the queen, so it's a little bit aggressive, but also being defensive somewhat by trying to remove this defender on f4. The problem is after this, black can just replace with the knight here, and now this queen's under attack. Something like knight at e4, I mean, that could be okay. So black's probably not complaining too much here. Material is fairly balanced. Maybe black's a pawn up, and still has a threat on the king. So black's in a sense neutralised the material advantage. So here white backed off, and I think here's where black actually gained some advantage. So what's happened here is, if you wind back the clock to back here, where white's played knight h5, it's effectively like white's just played queen f3 here, which is really just putting the queen in a bit of danger. So we've reached that same position, and now pawn at g4 is really helpful for black. So it's hitting the queen again, getting another hit on h3, which is going to be really useful. Yeah, here I'm actually starting to like black quite a bit more. He sacrificed the queen, which is now really given black something to play for, and it's not so bad either. I mean, maybe it's a good decision just to get rid of one attacker. What other options are here? Maybe something like knight at e4. I think it would be wise for black to avoid it. Yeah, it's not easy, because if the black queen backs off, there's going to be pawn e2. It's actually one of these situations where running the queen may end up being worse. This runs into knight e2. You might be able to preserve the queen over here, but then black can even start capturing here and through knight h3, bishop f3. So yeah, I think the problems start with knight at h5. Actually, I think maybe something like bishop at f3 helps hold white together a bit better. So anyway, take, pawn at g3. That's okay. I think in general, if you get the chance to defend, something like bishop at g3 is usually better, and that's just because it the bishop defends both backwards and forwards, and it's always good to get a little bit more, and we'll see it actually becomes relevant in the game. But pawn at g3, and now here even I think it's a mistake for black here to back off. If you put the queen in different positions, white can actually start putting a dent in black's position. Black's got to be careful. There's things like knight at e7 here. Yeah, maybe this works out okay. I think black gets in first in this case. Yeah, maybe queen d6. White can still try to defend. Yeah, maybe black's okay backing off. Yeah, I was just concerned. I think black has to be queen d6 is a good move, but if you play a move like queen f6, you've got to be careful of white coming in and getting some initiative back. Things can go south if you allow too many hits on your own queen, and white's actually threatening to come in as fast as black can come in. Black doesn't have that knight to penetrate e2. That's what black needs. So okay, I decided I'm going to go for the aggressive path, hit the rook. I expected a move like knight d2 or knight a3, something that just puts some extra defense on the rook. And then maybe I have to capture this and then keep going that way. I think black's still fine here. What did happen was rook e1, and then it's fairly simple from here. It took me a while to find it, but I was looking at things like queen at f1 to see if they would work, and that's just overcomplicating things. The simplest way forward is just queen takes f2, because queen at e3 is mate. If the king backs off here, you can actually do a double queen sacrifice if you want to be elegant, and rook at f1 is mate. So that's how the game wrapped up. But yeah, I think was actually a good position for white, well back. I think from here, I think white's actually better. He's basically threatening black to push backwards or really go hard with initiative. I only came out of it because I played practically and my opponent made a slight inaccuracy. But maybe from back here, what it makes me think is black may even have to try something active already here, like d5, instead of castling, just to get some activity much earlier, and avoid that situation where black's getting passive. But look, this is entirely another game. I think you have to have very good understanding from both players on how to play the middle game, which is quite open, a lot of options. So I'm not going to explore that too much further here, but just to say that against this early c3, look, I think it is playable for black. It's nearly a case where you need to play as actively as white. If you do get on the back foot, even though you're a pawn up, I do feel that white does get an edge in these types of positions. So look, I'm going to close this one here. That's Cancer Donations Tin 3. Thanks to all of you for supporting my charity event. Really appreciate it. Keep it coming. If you haven't donated yet, there's still an opportunity. If you've only made a small donation, you can always donate twice, and the $20 still counts towards having a game analysed here. So yeah, thanks again. I'm going to go get some sleep, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.